Chapter 3, Prison Break. G'day everyone, Rune here, and this is Chapter 3 of my What If Hub Survived story. If you're new to this series, click the link in the description below to be taken to the playlist. Now let's begin the next chapter. Lan, please be okay. That is the one thought that keeps running through Hub's head like a broken record. He knew that something was off about Higsby, and now his brother is who knows where, and he's locked in a classroom with a World 3 brainwashing program playing. If there was ever a worst case scenario, this would be it. He's brought out of his panic by Rockman calling his attention. Pulling out the PET, he holds it up so he can talk to Rockman face to face. Looking at Hub with determined eyes, he tells the operator to jack him into the blackboard. He doesn't know if he'll be able to access the main control room from the classroom, but at the very least he should be able to access enough of the network to unlock the door, so everyone will be able to get out and ignore the program. Hub nods in understanding before turning to the blackboard. Before he can take more than a few steps, however, Dex steps in front of him. For a moment, Hub worries that the program has gotten to the other boy. That fear is mercifully brief, as Dex tells Hub to leave this to him. Pulling out Gutsman's PET, he heads to the blackboard as he continues to explain. As much as he hates to admit it, Lan is the best net battler in their class, and with him now MIA, he and Gutsman are their best shot. Hub follows after him, his face set in an unconvinced frown, Mail next to him wearing the same expression. Yai joins their little group quickly, her expression one of someone trying to hide their fear and failing. Mail asks if Dex really thinks that Lan and Hub haven't been net battling together since they were little. Dex shoots her a glare that says, "Can it?" before telling them that only proves his point. Lan and Megaman have experience fighting alone, but Hub and Rockman have only ever fought in a team. Before Hub can even begin to tell the other boy that he's had plenty of experience net battling without Lan, he's already jacking in Gutsman. Hub, Mail, and Yai watch silently as Dex and Gutsman enter the school's network. The instant Gutsman is in, Dex tells them that the place looks like a mess and there are viruses everywhere. Immediately, the duo begin battling every virus in sight all at once. It is soon shown why this is a bad idea, as it doesn't take long for Gutsman to get Zerg rushed. Silence stretches between them for a few moments until Mail gently asks if Dex has a backup of Gutsman's data. Solemnly, Dex nods, making them sigh in relief. With Dex and Gutsman now down, Hub steps forward. Before Dex can object, he jacks in Rockman. The moment Rockman is inside the network, he sees exactly what Dex was talking about. The network is in complete shambles, entire chunks missing, leaving dead ends where there weren't any, or narrow paths where there was once a main road. And, just like Dex said, there are viruses everywhere. It'd be impossible to sneak past them and get to the program locking the door without fighting at least a few of them. Knowing better than to take them all on at once, Hub and Rockman maneuver the viruses into manageable groups before swiftly deleting them. It only takes a couple of minutes for them to clear the path. Yai and Dex stare at Hub in shock. They thought that Lan was good, but from what they're seeing, Hub could clearly stand toe-to-toe with him. How are these twins so good? Noticing the looks on their faces, Hub explains that there wasn't much for him to do in the hospital when Lan wasn't visiting, so he'd go online and net battle to pass the time. It's also why his chip folder has become more of a chip sack, thanks to all of the chips he's collected thanks to all of his time grinding. Dex and Yai blink in confusion. Hospital? Why was Hub in a hospital so much that he could spend enough time net battling to get this good at it? The fact that Hub had just thrown it out so casually also seems really weird. Just what is the deal with these twins? Back with Rockman, he is steadily becoming frustrated with the winding maze that the network has become. All of the pathways that he'd learnt over the last week are almost gone, turned into dead ends. He's just contemplating the pros and cons of picking a fight with some viruses to relieve some stress when he spots a familiar yellow Navi sitting on the ground next to a barrier. Rushing over, Rockman quickly notices the large cut in Glide's torso, revealing some of his code underneath. Horrified by the sight, Rockman asks if Glide is okay. The Navi gives a tight smile, telling Rockman that he'll be alright once he logs out. He tells his fellow yellow Navi that the barrier is passcode protected, and he'd been attacked when he was trying to find the hint for it. Rockman asks if he'd been able to succeed, and Glide nods, telling him that it's the number of chairs in the 5A classroom. Rockman asks Hub if he knows the answer to that, since Rockman has never seen the classroom outside of cyberspace. Hub responds that the number of chairs is 9, the same as every classroom. Rockman quickly inputs the code, disabling the barrier and the locks on the classroom doors before turning to Glide. He tells Glide to get back to his PET and heal up. Glide nods, but before he logs out, he asks Rockman to pass on a message to Lan. He asks Rockman to apologize to Lan for him, explaining that he'd accidentally let slip to Yai about Lan helping him find the missing program last week. Rockman snorts with repressed laughter before assuring Glide that he'll pass on the message. Back in the physical world, Hub asks Mail to test the classroom doors to see if they're unlocked. Thankfully they are, and everyone begins piling out to get away from the re-education program and tell the other classrooms that they can come out. The alarm is still blaring, but it's still better than what's in the classroom. Hub is just about to jack Rockman out when Mail comes rushing back in, telling him that the door to the stairwell is locked. They can't get down to free everyone downstairs. Hub clicks his tongue and resists the urge to curse. Higsby must have placed layers to the security in case anyone tried to fight back. There must be another barrier that links to the door to the stairs. Having heard the whole thing through the PET's con system, Rockman continues down the path, waving off Hub's apologies. It's beginning to get a little eerie with how empty the network is aside from the viruses. He'd heard from a teaching program in the 5B classroom that most of the programs were deleted by the Navi that started the re-education program. Rockman does not envy whoever's going to get stuck with the job of fixing the network once this is all over. Eventually, he reaches the library section, where they find the next barrier. Accessing it, Rock looks at the pop-up screen carefully. It seems that Higsby is using the library's own security system to keep the stairwell locked. Talk about sneaky. He's about to tap the hint button when he notices a presence behind him. Acting on instinct, he dodges to the right, just in time to avoid an attack from a B-tank. Spinning around, he comes face to face with a B-tank, a Flappy, and a Handy. Not a good combination, especially if you're already in an enclosed space. Best strategy is to go glass cannon. Deal enough damage in a small window of time so that, by the time they're ready to attack, it's already too late. Picking up on Rockman's train of thought, Hub sends some of the chips from their glass cannon folder. Rockman moves the instant his right hand transforms into a bow, an arrow already loaded into it. Taking quick aim, he fires a rapid trio of arrows at the Handy, hoping to take it out first as it has the widest range. As soon as the third arrow is loosed, he turns to his next target, the B-tank, his head now taking on the appearance of a spike. Taking aim again, he fires a ball of condensed electricity at the virus, before turning to his final target. The moment the pickaxe materializes in his hand, he strikes the ground, sending a rapid shockwave at the Flappy. He breathes a sigh of relief as the Flappy bursts into a series of small explosions before disappearing. The relief is short-lived, however, as he is blasted from behind, sending him flying into the barrier. Gritting his teeth in pain, he turns to see the B-tank is still going. He is about to call for Hub to send him more chips when a familiar pink figure jumps out and whacks the B-tank with the antenna atop their head. The B-tank explodes and disappears as Roll runs to Rockman, asking if he's okay. He gives her a slightly tight smile as he gets to his feet, telling her that he'll be fine. He just needs to use a recovery chip. Roll tells him to leave that to her before using some healing data on his injuries. Smiling, Rockman thanks her for her help before turning back to the barrier. Once again accessing it, he finds the hint button and presses it, finding that the hint is about the history encyclopedias in the library. Mail pipes in over the terminal of her PET, telling Rockman and Hub to leave that to her as she's currently in the library. It's why she and Roll were able to get to this section of the network so quickly. After a moment, she comes back telling them that there are 30 volumes. Rockman inputs the answer, disabling the barrier immediately. Hub calls out to Dex and Yai still in the hall, asking if the door to the stairwell is open. Dex shouts back that it isn't, causing Hub to frown. There must be another barrier further in that this barrier was blocking. Rockman is about to continue on when Roll stops him. She knows that she won't be able to keep up with him, but she still wants to fight at his side, so she hands him one of her Navi chips. With this, he'll be able to damage opponents while also healing himself. Rockman smiles gratefully as he takes the offered chip, promising to use it well. With that done, he continues down the now open path. He doesn't need to go far before he reaches the next barrier, as it's right at the end of the hall. Accessing it, he's startled to discover that this one has no hint at all. Giving an uneasy smile to Hub, he guesses that they're just going to have to play a game of hot and cold until they get it. To that end, they start with the number 50, right in the middle of the number range, which, much to both boys' shock, turns out to be the passcode. Shaking off his shock, Rockman continues down the path, soon coming across the path that had once led to the teacher's lounge server, now broken and uncrossable. He's about to start going down the other path when he hears a familiar voice call out to him. Spinning around, he sees Megaman on the other side of the broken path. Relief and worry flood through Rockman at the sight of his brother, running to stand at the edge of the chasm between them. Calling out over the divide, he asks if Mega is okay. Megaman tells him that he's alright, for now, but he can't say the same for Lan. He tells Rock that Higsby has tied up Lan in the teacher's lounge. He was able to jack Megaman into one of the teacher's PCs, but the PET has been disconnected, so he can't jack out or contact Lan. He also doesn't know where Ms. Mari is. Surprised, Rock asks if she wasn't in the teacher's lounge. Mega tells him that she wasn't there when he and Lan arrived. Higsby must have trapped her somewhere else in the school. He'll do what he can to disrupt the World 3 brainwashing program from where he is, but it looks like Hub and Rock are going to need to do most of the heavy lifting this time around. He's in the middle of an apology when Rock cuts him off, telling Mega to stop being dumb. Covering each other's backs is what twins do. Isn't that what he and Lan always say? Megaman smiles with a soft snort of laughter before saying that Rock is right. Wishing the other luck, they part, determined to stop this plot in its tracks. The next barrier isn't very far from the last. Accessing it, Rockman reads the hint of all doors in the school. Hearing that, Hub turns from the PET, asking Dex to try the door to the stairs again. With a triumphant shout, Dex calls back that it's unlocked now. Taking that as his cue, Hub quickly jacks Rockman out of the system before leaving the room. Once he's out in the hall, he begins counting the doors, while the rest of his class heads down the stairs to inform the other classes that they can get out of the classrooms now. He makes sure to count all of them before heading down the stairs and counting all of the ones down there too. With that done, he quickly heads into one of the classrooms and jacks Rockman back into the system. Thankfully, much closer to the barrier than their original jack-in point. Running up to the barrier, Rockman inputs the number 15, bringing the barrier down and allowing him to continue on. Soon, they come across a classroom that has massive chunks taken out of it. Rockman feels bad for the kids that had work saved on the computers that are now cut off from the network. Chances are that all of that work is gone now. There's only one narrow path through this area, so he takes it, keeping an eye out for any viruses that might take a shot. However, before he can reach the other side, a sudden painful jolt spreads through his whole body, freezing him in place. Frantic, Hub asks what's wrong. Rock tells him that he's gotten caught in a trap in the AV room. He's completely paralyzed. Hub clutches the PET in a white-knuckled grip, panic flooding his veins. What can he do? He can't jack Rockman out like this, but if he stays trapped like this, he'll be a sitting duck for any viruses in the network. What should he do? His head snaps up as he hears someone else enter the room. It's Dex. Spotting the panicked look on Hub's face, Dex asks what's wrong. Hub tells him the situation and asks him to go check the AV room to see if he can find anything. He can't go himself, not with Rockman like this. Dex nods in understanding before dashing out of the room. It's a long, agonizing wait, but finally, the electrical trap that had held Rockman captive releases, allowing him to move again. Hub breathes a sigh of relief as Dex comes back into the room. Turning to his classmate, Hub tells him that he's not sure what he did, but it worked. He thanks Dex for helping them. The taller boy tells him not to worry about it before frowning. Noticing the look, Hub asks what's wrong. The look on Dex's face is a complicated mix of fear, anger, and regret as he tells Hub that he spotted Higsby leaving the AV room when he was approaching it. There's a pause before he says that he should have stopped him from leaving when he had the chance. Hub shakes his head in disagreement. He tells Dex that Higsby is an adult. Even if he's not all that strong, he is still several times Dex's size. He wouldn't have been able to take Higsby on his own. He would have just gotten hurt or caught. With his ability to move restored, Rockman continues through the network. unlocking another door on the way. While he continues on, Hub asks Dex to check if the doors to the staff room are unlocked now. Dex returns with the news that they are indeed unlocked just as Rockman reaches the final barrier, the staff room, the main server, and Megaman just on the other side. Rockman tells them that it's a good thing they are, because he can't even try to input a passcode without a staff ID, so they're going to need to find Ms. Mari. Jacking Rockman out, Hub and Dex leave the classroom and meet up with Yai and Mail. Not wasting any time, Hub asks if they've had any luck finding Ms. Mari. The two girls tell him that they haven't, and they've checked everywhere up to the main entrance hall. Hub nods before heading towards the doors, his classmates hot on his heels. There's nowhere in the entrance hall for Higsby to hide Ms. Mari, so the only place left that he could have hidden her is the hall leading to the teacher's lounge. Unless Higsby trapped her somewhere outside. But if that were the case, someone outside of the school would have found her and raised the alarm by now. Right? Entering the hall to the teacher's lounge, Hub sees that there are only two doors. One has an ID reader, so that must lead to the teacher's lounge. Mega already told them that Ms. Mari isn't there, so that leaves only one place left. Turning to the other door, Hub opens it, revealing a large janitor's closet. Rock tells him to be careful, as he can tell that the place is full of dust that won't be good for his heart. Hub assures him that it'll be quick before his attention is drawn to the sound of shuffling further into the closet. Following the sounds, it doesn't take long for him and his classmates to find Ms. Mari, tied up at the back of the closet. Working together, they quickly untie her and leave the room, Ms. Mari and Mail keeping a close eye on Hub the whole way. Once they're out of the closet, Hub tells Ms. Mari that they need her ID in order to get into the teacher's lounge section of the network. Nodding in understanding, the group quickly rush to the terminal outside of the lounge, where Hub jacks Rockman in one final time, putting the yellow navvy just outside of the barrier. With Rockman in position, Ms. Mari scans her ID, allowing Rockman to play hot and cold with the passcode before opening the final barrier. Running, he takes a sharp left turn to the main server. There, he finds a sight that causes his eyes to widen in fear. Megaman is kneeling on the ground, clutching his arm where there's a large burn mark, several smaller burns littering his body. In front of him is a green navvy with a head that looks like a strange light bulb or one of those spinning light-up one toys. Glaring at the navvy, Rock runs towards them. "Hey you! Get away from my brother!" Mega gives a slightly pained smile as he tells his brother that he's glad to see him. Returning the smile with a worried one of his own, Rock tells him to fall back for now, as he's clearly in no condition to continue fighting. Nodding in understanding, Mega does just that, still clutching his injured arm. Turning back to the green navvy, Rock glares at him, telling him that he's going to regret hurting his brother. The green navvy sighs in annoyance, asking just where these navvy-operated duos are coming from. Ignoring that comment, Hub speaks over the PET comm, demanding to know why they took LAN. In response, Higsby joins the conversation, explaining that he'd heard about LAN's rebellious attitude. He'd figured that, of all the students, he'd be the most likely to throw a wrench into World 3's plans. He never expected a spineless brat like Hub to be a thorn in his side. As soon as Higsby makes that comment, there's the sound of a loud bang, like someone had just kicked over a trash can, followed by a long string of muffled shouting. Higsby comments that this proves his point while sounding bored. Growling in anger, Hub demands Higsby let his brother go, causing the man to laugh. He asks what Hub is going to do. He can't enter the lounge, and as long as Numberman is hooked into the server, there's no stopping the World 3 program. Their little blue friend couldn't take down Numberman, so what makes them think that they can? To Numberman and Higsby's shock, Hub and Rockman grin. The young operator tells Higsby that if he thought that Megaman was fighting them at full strength, then he's sorely mistaken. Rockman continues, explaining that since they tied up LAN, Mega was fighting with a handicap. They, on the other hand, won't be. So they better be prepared to lose. Ready, Rockman? Battle routine set! Execute! The moment the battle begins, Rockman and Hub are on the offensive, with Hub giving Rockman several bomb chips which he uses in rapid succession. Numberman shakes off the pain before summoning one of his dice bombs. However, that is quickly destroyed by a few charged buster shots. After the incident with their oven, the twins had spent quite a bit of time grinding up viruses in order to earn enough Zenny for a few upgrades. It had also allowed Lan to update his folder, like he'd been wanting to for weeks, and gave Hub the last chip he needed for a certain program advance that he's been looking for the right moment to try out. And this seems like the perfect time. He quickly sends through 3 cannons for a Zeta cannon while he gathers the 5 chips he needs. Meanwhile, inside the network, Numberman's eyes widen at the sight of the cannon on Rockman's arm. Quickly, he summons his number balls, hoping to block and negate the attack. Seeing the line of giant balls blocking his sight of Numberman, Rockman raises his arm and fires his first shot, watching as the number on the ball drops. Getting the message quickly, he fires again, destroying the ball. He then turns the cannon on Numberman, managing to get off 2 more shots before time runs out. With those 2 hits, Numberman is now in range of their finishing blow. Grinning, Hub sends in his 5 arrow chips, causing Rockman to grin. The moment his hand shifts into a bow, he takes aim. Numberman erects another line of number balls, but Rockman is already firing, doing damage to the balls even as they're materializing. He has 10 seconds and he intends to make them count. The ball is destroyed almost before it's even fully materialized, leaving Numberman wide open. Seizing the moment, Rockman fires his last few shots, dropping Numberman's health to 0. As Numberman bursts into mini explosions in code, Hub can't help but grin. See? This is what happens when you fight someone who isn't handicapped. And that, everyone, is where I'm going to leave the story for now. Join me next time as Hub and Lan attempt to visit their dad, and Lan and Dex discover something unexpected. I'm Rune. See you next chapter.